I woke up in my stepfather's body, the taste of bourbon still sour on his tongue. And the first thing I did was grab the Smith & Wesson from his nightstand drawer, cold steel that felt like justice in my new, meaty fist. My mother, God, Evelyn, padded into the room in her silk robe, her eyes bleary from whatever pills she'd popped to forget the monster she married. And I leveled the barrel at her forehead, whispering, "Honey, it's time we talked about Dad's accident." She froze. And in that split second, I knew the swap wasn't a curse, it was my goddamn redemption. And I'd burn their empire to ash before they realized Reagan was the one pulling the trigger. It started 6 months ago, in that godforsaken strip mall office in Tacoma, Washington, where the fluorescent lights buzzed like angry hornets and the air smelled of stale coffee and desperation. I was 23, fresh out of community college with a half-assed associate's in business admin, dreaming of escaping this rain-soaked hellhole for Seattle, maybe even Portland, where the hipsters pretended life wasn't a grind. But dreams don't pay rent. And Victor, my stepdad, Victor Hargrove, had other plans. He was the kingpin of Hargrove Financial, a predatory lending outfit that preyed on folks like us, working-class stiffs drowning in medical bills and truck payments. Family business. Reagan, he'd say, his voice like gravel under tires, slapping those forged loan docs on the kitchen table. Sign 'em. Or you're out on the street with your junkie friends. I refused. Not because I was some bleeding heart crusader, though yeah, watching him squeeze blood from single moms and vets made my stomach turn, but because those papers weren't just loans. They were a Ponzi scheme wrapped in legalese, siphoning Grandma's Social Security into his offshore accounts. Victor's empire was built on it. Fake appraisals, inflated debts, foreclosures that left families homeless. And me, I was the fall guy. He'd groomed me for years, ever since he slithered into our lives after Dad's accident on the I-5 overpass, tires supposedly blown by a pothole. But everyone whispered brakes. Victor married Mom 3 months later, inheriting the house, the life insurance payout, and me as the sullen stepdaughter trophy. That night, when I tore up the docs and flung them in the fireplace, his face went purple. "You ungrateful little bitch," he snarled, backhanding me so hard my lips split open on the marble mantel. Blood dripped onto the hearth like accusations, and I tasted copper and rage. Mom burst in from the den, where she'd been nursing a gin and tonic, her Botox-smooth forehead creasing just enough to show she was human. "Victor, stop. She's just confused." Then to me, as he pinned my arms and dragged me toward the basement stairs, "Reagan, stop acting like a victim. This is family. Grow up. Grow up." Those words echoed in my skull for weeks, a mantra of gaslighting that kept me chained. I crashed on couches at dive bars, waitressed at the all-night diner on Pacific Avenue, dodging Victor's texts, "Come home, kiddo. We miss you." Bullshit. He wanted the signatures. Mom wanted the peace. And Dad, his ghost haunted the attic, where I'd found his old ledgers, scribbled notes about V's side hustle and brake line sabotage. I'd confronted her once, tear-streaked and shaking. "Did you know about the accident?" She'd laughed it off, a brittle sound like shattering glass. "Your father's death was a tragedy, Reagan. Don't invent conspiracies to cope." But I wasn't coping. I was surviving. Until the storm hit, the kind that rattles the sound like God's own tantrum. It was late October, leaves plastered to windshields, ferries canceled from Seattle. I was holed up in a motel off Highway 16, The kind with hourly rates and roaches the size of quarters. When the power flickered out, thunder cracked like a gunshot. And, in the blackout, I stumbled over an old trunk in the corner, left by some previous tenant. Probably. Curiosity's a bitch. I pried it open with a coat hanger. Inside, yellowed photos of a woman who looked like me but older, harder-eyed, and a tarnished locket etched with anima mutatio, Latin for soul change, or so Google told me later. I laughed at first. Occult crap for bored truckers. But the locket hummed in my palm, warm as fever. And as lightning split the sky, I muttered half-joking, if I could trade places with that bastard, I'd make him pay. The world tilted. Vertigo hit like a freight train, my vision fracturing into prisms. I blacked out, waking to silk sheets that weren't mine. A king-sized bed in a room that reeked of cologne and conquest. And when I sat up, his hands were thick-fingered, veined, scarred from golf grips and backroom deals. The mirror confirmed it. Victor Hargrove stared back, 52 and smug, with his salt and pepper buzz cut and the perpetual 5 o'clock shadow that made him look like a TV cop gone rogue. I flexed, feeling the bulk of his shoulders, the ache in his liver from years of scotch. Panic clawed at my throat, but then came the thrill, pure, electric. I was him. No more bruises from his fists. No more mom's dismissals. I could dismantle it all from the inside. First order, the gun. Tucked in the drawer beside his Viagra and brass knuckles. I chambered around, the click echoing like fate. Evelyn, Mom knocked softly. Vic, you up? Bad dream? She slipped in, robe gaping just enough to show the lacy negligee she'd bought to keep him interested. Her eyes widened at the sight of the pistol, but she recovered with that practiced poise. Put that away, darling. It's not loaded, is it? I smiled, his smile, wolfish and wide. Oh. It's loaded, sweetheart. Question is, who gets the bullet? Her face drained of color, and for the first time, I saw fear in those Botox eyes. Real fear. Not the performative kind she doled out for me. Vic. What the hell? Are you drunk? Drunk on power? I lowered the gun, but not before pressing the barrel to her collarbone, feeling her pulse flutter like a trapped bird. Tell me about the accident. Eve. The one that made you a widow so quick. She stammered, backing toward the door. But I was faster, his legs longer, stronger. I grabbed her wrist, twisting just enough to make her gasp. Reagan's gone. Mom. But I'm here now. And I know everything. She wrenched free, rubbing her arm, eyes darting like a cornered fox. What are you talking about? Reagan ran off with that loser boyfriend. She's fine. Lies. All of it. But I let her go, watching her flee down the hall to the guest room, our old room, now a shrine to denial with my high school yearbooks gathering dust. I dressed in his charcoal suit, the fabric hugging like a second skin, and pocketed the locket from my jeans on the floor. It was cool now. Inert. But I felt its pulse sinking with mine. Downstairs, the house was a monument to their greed, granite counters imported from Italy, abstract art that screamed new money, a sub-zero fridge stocked with craft beers and kale smoothies for the Instagram crowd. I poured his favorite Lagavulin, neat, and scrolled his phone. Texts from cronies, closing on the Miller's place tomorrow. Kids' college fund? Ours now. Emails from lawyers burying complaints under NDAs. And buried deeper, in an encrypted folder labeled insurance, photos of Dad's wrecked Chevy. Brake lines frayed like deliberate sabotage. A payout memo for $2.3 million, split 60-40, her favor. The betrayal hit like a sucker punch. She'd known.
Hell.
She'd planned it. But why me? Why frame the stepdaughter? Because I was the loose end, the one who'd found the ledgers. The one who looked too much like Dad with my stubborn jaw and hazel eyes. They'd whispered to CPS about my delinquency, planted weed in my backpack to justify the beatings. Victor's rages weren't random. They were theater, building a case to institutionalize me if I talked. Mom's "stop acting like a victim" was code. Shut up. Or join your father. I smashed the glass against the wall, shards glittering like fallen stars. Then I laughed deep from his barrel chest. Time to play. By dawn, I was Victor Hargrove, CEO. Striding into Hargrove Financial like I owned the joint, which I did. The office was a glass fortress overlooking the Puyallup River. Employees scattering like minnows at my approach. "Morning, sir," chirped Lisa, his assistant, a bleach blonde in pencil skirts who'd probably earned her position on her knees. "Board meeting at 10.
And,
Your stepdaughter called." Sounded hysterical. I leaned in, close enough to smell her vanilla body spray. Hysterical? Good. Tell her Daddy's busy. Her cheeks flushed. She thought it was flirtation. Let her. First move, audit the books. Not the sanitized ones for the IRS, but the shadow ledgers on my laptop, hidden behind a firewall I'd crack with a quick Google on dark web tools. Who knew Victor bookmarked Tor? Pervert. The numbers danced. $14 million laundered through shell companies. Victims' names in red ink: Maria Gonzalez. Foreclosed for a $200 ER visit: Jamal Reed. Truck repossessed over a bounce check. I started small. Called in Maria, the single mom from the Post-it notes. She shuffled in, eyes downcast, clutching a tissue. "Mr. Hargrove?" About the appeal. I waved her to the leather chair, pouring coffee from the Keurig, 2 sugars, just how he'd noted in her file. "Maria, I've been reviewing your case." Errors were made. Her head snapped up, tears welling. "You mean we can keep the house?" I nodded, signing the reversal with a flourish. "Consider it a fresh start. And tell your story to the Tacoma News-Tribune. Anonymously, if you like." She left dazed, grateful. By noon, I'd greenlit 10 more reversals, wiring restitution from the slush fund. Whispers spread like wildfire. Employees exchanged glances, wondering if the boss had found Jesus or a mistress who softened him. Evelyn called mid-afternoon. Voice honeyed poison. "Vic. Darling. Come home early?" Reagan's back showed up at the door, ranting about swaps and secrets. "She's unhinged. Unhinged."
But, kettle.
"Keep her there."
Eve.
"I'll handle it." I hung up, then texted my fixer, a sleazy PI named Rocco. "Dig up dirt on Evelyn Hargrove. Pre-Vic affairs. All of it." Rocco replied instant. "On it."
Boss. But why?
"Because," I typed, "trust is overrated." The board meeting was a circus of egos. Old white guys in Brooks Brothers, puffing cigars over spreadsheets. I walked in late, slamming the door. "Gentlemen, we're pivoting." Murmurs rippled. Pivoting how? Grunted Harlan, Victor's right-hand snake, with his Rolex glinting like a threat. Ethics. No more foreclosures on the vulnerable. We're going legit. Community loans. Green initiatives. Laughter erupted, then died at my glare. Laugh again. And you're out. Starting with the Miller's deal. Cancelled. Harlan's face twisted. Vic. You gone soft? This is how we eat. I leaned across the table. Voice low thunder. Eat this. Cross me. And I'll bury you deeper than your tax havens. They folded, grumbling. But I saw the cracks, alliances shifting, phones buzzing under tables. Victor's empire was a house of cards. One gust, and it'd tumble. Evening fell like a shroud. I drove the black Escalade home through sheets of rain, wipers slapping rhythmically. The locket bounced on the dash. A talisman or a time bomb, I couldn't decide. Pulling into the driveway. Porch light haloed Evelyn's silhouette. Reagan's beat-up Honda parked crooked beside the garage. My heart, his heart, pounded. This was it, the confrontation. She was in the living room when I entered, curled on the couch like a feral cat, eyes wild. Me, 23. Auburn waves tangled, wearing my old Seahawks hoodie stained with diner grease. Victor, she spat, springing up. What the fuck did you do? Evelyn hovered by the stairs, martini in hand, playing referee. Reagan. Language. Your stepfather's had a long day. I ignored her, locking eyes with myself. It was surreal, staring into that familiar face twisted with my own fury. Reagan, I said, voice his gravel baritone. Sit down. We need to talk. She laughed, bitter and broken. Talk. You beat me. You and her, you killed Dad. Evelyn gasped, spilling gin. That's enough.
Out. Now.
But Reagan me lunged, nails raking my arm. I caught her wrists, pinning her against the wall with Victor's brute strength. Listen, I hissed. It's me. Reagan. The locket. The storm. We're swapped. Her struggles ceased, eyes searching mine, his eyes for truth. Bullshit. Prove it. I released her, rolling up my sleeve to show the faded scar on the forearm from that skateboarding wipeout at 14. Her eyes widened. She had the twin mark on her, my elbow. Holy shit, she whispered. Evelyn edged closer, confusion cracking her facade. What's going on?
Beak.
Reagan. We turned as one. The Hargrove menage a trois of madness. Tell her, I said to my old body. About the ledgers. The breaks.
Regan, no.
Me in there, straightened, voice my alto quiver.
Mom.
You signed the payout. You knew Victor cut the lines. For the money. For this life. Evelyn's glass shattered on the hardwood. Lies. Your father was reckless, drunk driving. But her eyes darted to the fireplace, where embers still glowed from last night's papers. I stepped forward, towering. Then why the 60-40th split? Eve, why frame me as the problem child? She backed into the mantel, breath hitching. You were always so
dramatic.
Victor said it'd toughen you up. Toughen. The word ignited something primal. I grabbed the poker from its stand, hefting it like a club. Tough enough to end this. Reagan, trapped in Victor, grabbed my arm.
No.
Not like this. We exposed them. Clean. But clean was for suckers. I tasted his power, felt the thrill of command. Controversial? Hell yes. Vigilante justice in a country that worshipped the Second Amendment but cried foul at revenge. Clean gets you killed, I snarled. They did it to Dad. The storm outside roared approval, lightning etching our shadows long. Evelyn sobbed, collapsing to her knees. Please. I did it for us. For you, Reagan. Victor promised stability. Stability bought with blood. I raised the poker, muscles coiling, but Reagan, Victor now, yanked me back.
Wait.
The locket. It might swap back. We fumbled for it in my pocket, clasping hands over the metal. Anima mutatio, we chanted, desperate. The room spun again, vertigo reclaiming us. When it cleared, I was me, small, bruised,
Real.
Victor slumped in the corner, himself again, groaning. Evelyn crawled to him, cradling his head.
Beak.
Baby. He blinked up at her, then at me, confusion melting to rage.
You.
Witch. Sirens wailed distant. Reagan must have called 911 in the chaos. Cops burst in minutes later, badges flashing under strobes. Hands up. Drop the weapon. The poker clattered. Victor pointed a trembling finger. She attacked us. My stepdaughter, crazy. Evelyn nodded vigorously.
Yes.
She's been off her meds. I laughed, wild and free, as cuffs clicked on my wrists. Check the ledgers. The locket. Ask Maria Gonzalez. But they didn't. Not that night. Bail hearing was a farce. Victor's lawyer, slick as oil, painted me as the hysteric, the gold digger after inheritance. Mom testified, she's always been troubled. Stop acting like a victim? I never said that. Lies layered thick. I rotted in county lockup for weeks, the swap's magic fading like a bad dream. Victor's empire hummed on. Reversals walked back as business decisions. But I wasn't done. From a jailhouse phone, I leaked the files to a blogger, anonymous drops via smuggled burner. Hargrove horror, local lenders' dark secrets. The story broke like a dam. Protests outside the office. Feds sniffing around for fraud. Victor lawyered up. But the break's evidence surfaced. Rocco, the fixer, flipped for immunity, spilling about the sabotage. Evelyn cracked under interrogation. Her stability crumbling into confessions tear-streaked on CNN. Trial was a media circus. Tacoma's own true crime opera. Victor took the stand, his buzz cut grayer, voice booming. That girl destroyed my family.
Me?
I stared him down. Small but unbroken. You destroyed mine first. Jury deliberated 2 days. Guilty on manslaughter. Fraud. Assault. Evelyn got conspiracy 10 years. Minimum. Victor? Life. No parole. As the gavel fell, he lunged at me across the bar. Spittle flying. Bitch.
I'll haunt you.
I leaned in, whispering so only he heard. You already did. But I wore your skin.
Beak.
Felt your sins. And I liked it. Out on the courthouse steps. Rain slicking the pavement. Reporters swarmed. Reagan, how'd you do it? Inside job. I smiled for the cameras. Locket heavy in my pocket. Family secrets.
Folks.
They always come out. But the twist? In the quiet nights after, when the adrenaline faded, I dreamed of his body, the power, the command. The swap hadn't reversed fully. Flashes came, echoes of his urges. Was I redeemed, or just the monster in new clothes? Mom visited once in prison, through glass. Her face gaunt. Forgive me, baby. I was weak. Weak. I pressed the receiver hard. You chose him. Over Dad. Over me.
She wept. Il chose survival.
Prove me wrong. Live better. I hung up, but her words lingered. Proved wrong?
Yeah.
But at what cost? The ending's yours to debate. Justice served. Or a daughter forged in hellfire. Forever changed. Wait. That's only 1,500 words. I need to flesh it out to 4,000 total. Let me continue seamlessly. The board meeting dragged into the afternoon. Harlan's cigar smoke curling like accusations. I pushed the reversals through, but not without cost. Harlan cornered me in the executive washroom, splashing water on his florid face. Vic, this bleeding heart crap? It's suicide. The boys in Miami, they invested big. You pull this, and we're chum in the water. Miami. The cartel ties I'd glimpsed in the ledgers. Money laundering through fake real estate. Controversial? Understatement. Victor had blood on his hands beyond Dad's, rumors of disappeared, borrowers who talked too much. I dried my hands on a monogrammed towel, meeting his eyes in the mirror. Then swim faster.
Harlan.
Or get eaten. He blanched, muttering about early dementia as he slunk out. By 5. The office buzzed with leaks, some VP tweeting anonymously about Hargrove's midlife crisis. Good. Let the rats scatter. Home was a minefield. Reagan, me and Victor's skin, paced the kitchen, his bulk making the island look toy-sized. This body's a prison, she growled, flexing fingers that could crush walnuts. Every ache, every memory, it's like acid. Evelyn fluttered about, serving pot roast like nothing happened, but her hands shook plating the carrots. Family dinner. You too. Let's pretend normal for once. Normal. The word tasted like ash. We sat. Silverware clinking tension. Pass the wine, I said, my voice small again.
No.
Wait. The swap held. I was still in his body for now. Wait. In my outline.
It was temporary.
But to build tension. Let's extend. Actually, the swap was stable until the climax. So, Reagan and Victor, sat at head, Evelyn to right, Reagan, Victor and me to left. How was work, dear? Evelyn cooed, ignoring the elephantine wrongness. Transformative, I replied, forking meat that tasted like cardboard. Fired Harlan. Leaked the Miller's file to the press. Reagan choked on peas.
Coughing.
You what? That's my reputation. Your reputation? I slammed the fork down. China rattling. You built it on broken backs. Including mine. Evelyn's eyes darted between us, sensing the fracture. Boys? What's this about? Not boys, Reagan snapped. My old fire in her, his eyes. Reagan thinks she's me. Some voodoo bullshit. Evelyn laughed. Nervous trill. Stepdaughter. You're overtired. Take your meds. The meds. The ones Victor had slipped me for years, antipsychotics to dull my edges, make me pliable. I rose, towering, and dumped the bottle from the cabinet into the sink, pills swirling like drowned confetti. No more.
Eve.
No more lies. She stood, face crumpling. What has gotten into you?
Vic, this isn't you. Oh,
But it was me. Finally. Night deepened. Rain a relentless tattoo. Reagan and I retreated to the study, poring over the locket under desk lamp glow. Engravings swirled, symbols like Celtic knots crossed with circuit boards. Old magic meets new tech. If it's reversible, she whispered. We chan again. But what if it's one way? Then I stay, I said, the words heavy. And finish it. She nodded. My own resolve mirrored back. But Victor's memories leaked in, flashes of Evelyn in bed. Her whispers of, do it for us, the night of the accident. Betrayal layered. She'd seduced him. Promised half. Then taken more. The hidden secret? Dad wasn't the target. Victor had aimed for a rival lender. But Dad's car was in the way, collateral damage. I'd suffered for their war. Beaten to silent suspicion. Dawn brought Rocco's report, Evelyn's affair logs. Pre-Vic. With a union boss, leverage Victor used to crush strikes. She's the spider. Boss, Rocco texted. You the fly?
no.
I was the exterminator. Day 2 in Skin. I called a press conference. Victor's baritone booming to cameras. Hargrove Financial apologizes. Full audits. Victim funds returned. Gasps from reporters. Flashes popping. Harlan seethed in the back. Phoning Miami. Let him. By noon. Feds knocked, SEC. FBI. A tag team on fraud. Evelyn confronted me in the penthouse suite. Wait.
No.
Home office. You're ruining us. For what? That girl's delusions. I showed her the affair photos. Rocco's dossier. Or for this. Your little side hustle. She paled. Then rallied. Jealous? You were always second best to him. Him, Dad. The twist nod. She'd hated him. Resented the stable life for its boredom. Craved Victor's danger. The beating? Not just control, punishment for resembling him. Climax built that night. Victor and me snapped, lunging with a letter opener. Give it back. My life. We wrestled. Evelyn screaming. Locket skittering across floor. Champ broken. Swap flickered. Half me, half him. Truth reversed. Victor confessed in the chaos. Eve made me do the breaks. For the thrill.
Cops came.
Swap stabilized post-adrenaline. Trials. Exposures. Ending. I kept a sliver of his ruthlessness. Debatable if victory or curse. The press conference aftermath was a whirlwind. Victor's phone, my phone, blowing up with threats and pleas. Miami's associates left voicemails in clipped accents. Mr.
Hargrove.
We hear of changes. Unwise. Meet at the docks. Midnight. Controversial decision 1. Go alone. No cops. That'd tip the Ponzi pyramid. I slipped out after Evelyn crashed. Reagan, Victor trapped, protesting from the guest room. Don't be stupid, call the feds. Stupid's your specialty. I shot back, grabbing the Smith & Wesson. The docks on Commencement Bay reeked of diesel and fish guts. Fog rolling in like a bad omen. 2 goons waited by a rusted container. Gold chains glinting under sodium lights. Hargrove, the taller grunted.
Cuban accent thick.
Boss says, fix it. Or swim with the crabs. I raised hands, gun tucked in waistband. Tell your boss the party's over. Feds have the ledgers. Walk away. Or join the indictments. They laughed, drawing Berettas. But I'd hacked Victor's email earlier. Insurance on these mooks. Photos of their families. SSNs. Your wife. Maria, nice kid at ST. Mary's. Hate for her to lose the house. Bluff worked. They lowered guns. Muttering pendejo loco. One spat. You ain't Hargrove. Eyes wrong. I smiled. I see everything now. Back home. Adrenaline crashing. I found Reagan, rifling the safe, codes from Victor's memories. What the hell? I yanked the binder from her hands. Dad's original will. Revoking Evelyn's beneficiary status. Secret buried. She'd forged it post-accident, but the original named me sole heir. We use this, she said, my voice fierce in her mouth. Bust her wide. Evelyn's facade cracked next morning. Breakfast was tense silence, until I slid the will across the table. Sign it back,
Mom.
or the press gets the original. Her fork clattered, eyes hardening. Blackmail? From my own husband. I corrected.
And yeah.
Controversial? Try righteous. She laughed.
Cold.
You think you're hero? You're me now, weak. Spiteful. Victor built this. You'll tear it down and have nothing. Nothing. The words stung, echoing my diner shifts, the couch surfing nights. But I held firm. Better nothing than your blood money. She signed, trembling, but not before whispering. You'll regret this. Vic, family's all we have. All? We'd had less than that. Day 3. Empire crumbling. Employees quit en masse. Harlan vanished to Costa Rica with a duffel of cash. I wired the last $500,000 to victims. Emptying accounts. Feds raided agents in windbreakers carting servers. Mr. Hargrove, you're under arrest for. I cut them off. Hands cuffed behind. Save it. I flipped. Full cooperation. Jail was a revelation. Bullpen stink of sweat and regret. Inmates eyeing the suit like fresh meat. But Victor's rep preceded. A guard slipped me a phone. Reagan? It's Lisa. You left instructions. Press has everything. From cell block. I watched the news on communal TV. Hargrove's scandal rocks Tacoma. CEO confesses to fraud. Evelyn's interview. Tearful. My husband's possessed. That girl's to blame.
Possessed.
Close enough. Bail hearing. Judge. A grizzled vet with Harlan's golf club scar. Set it high. Flight risk. Mr. Hargrove. But Reagan, free on her own recognizance, posted it. Selling my Honda. Your turn to owe me, she said at pickup. My body lean and tired. Home empty. Evelyn fled to her sisters in Spokane. We swapped back that night. Locket glowing hot. Chant complete. World righted. Me and me. Victor in his cell, awaiting transfer. But the twist lingered. During swap, I'd accessed his memories fully. Evelyn wasn't the planner. Victor had seduced her. But she pulled the trigger on the brakes, literally. Her hands on the tool. His on the wheel to test. Reversal. She was the power. He the puppet. Debatable end. I visited her in hiding, offering mercy for truth. Why me? I asked. You were the witness, she admitted. And the punishment. Forgive?
No.
But I walked away. Locket buried in the backyard. Happy? Tragic? You decide. With Victor and Evelyn in cuffs, the real work began, rebuilding from ashes. Tacoma whispered Reagan Hargrove, the girl who toppled titans. But fame's a double-edged blade. Reporters camped my lawn. True crime podcasters demanding for exclusives. Was it the locket? Witchcraft. One asked on local news. Mike thrust like a sword. I dodged, focusing on the nonprofit Hargrove Redemption Fund, using seized assets to buy back foreclosed homes. Maria Gonzalez was first client, hugging me at closing. You saved us, Mija.
Saved.
The word felt foreign, but good. But shadows clung. Victor's trial loomed. Federal courthouse in Seattle, a fortress of marble and metal detectors. I testified first, voice steady on the stand. He beat me for refusing to sign fraudulent loans. My mother watched, called it tough love. Gasps from jury. Evelyn in the gallery dabbing eyes with a monogrammed hanky. Victor's turn, shackled. He ranted. Lies. She's the con, swapped souls or some devil shit. Judge banged gavel. Speculation. Counsel. But the doubt seated. Tabloids ran body swap or breakdown. Hargrove heiress's dark secret. Controversial decision, too, leaked the locket photos. Anonymous tip to a PI podcast. Artifacts etchings scanned. Anima mutatio, soul swap relic from 19th century con artists, the host droned. Listeners debated, hoax or horror. My DMs flooded with Satanist, and empower her. Evelyn's trial was quieter. Conspiracy charges. She took the plea. 8 years. Visitation room. Plexiglass between. She pressed palm to mine. Proud of you, Reagan. Proved me wrong. Wrong how? I asked.
Cold.
Not a victim. A survivor. Her smile twisted, genuine or manipulative. I left without answering. Climax redux. Victor's escape attempt. Bribed guard. Midnight breakout from county. News alerts buzzed my phone. Fugitive CEO on loose. Target's stepdaughter. I barricaded the house. .38 from Dad's old box. Heart hammering. Rain lashed windows. Storm echo of the swap night. He came at 2 a.m., crashing through the back door like a bull. Give it back, he roared. Face gaunt. Eyes feral. My body. My life. I fired warning shot into ceiling. Plaster raining. Your life was a lie.
Beak.
End it. We circled the kitchen island. Him lunging. Me dodging, small but quick. He grabbed a knife block. Blades scattering. Evelyn told me everything. The swap. You did it to ruin us.
Lie.
But his desperation fed mine. I tackled low, tripping him onto tile. Fumble for the locket in my pocket, backup plan. Chant with me, I gasped, straddling his chest. Chain around his neck. Anima, he bucked. Fist connecting with my jaw, stars exploded. Knife at my throat.
D.
Bitch. Sirens wailed. Neighbor called it in. Cops swarmed, tossing him off me. As they dragged him away, handcuffs clicking, he laughed maniacally. You'll never be free. I felt it in your skin. The hunger. He was right. Post-recapture. Therapy unpacked it, PTSD layered with power lust. Debatable, did the swap heal or haunt? Months blurred into hearings. Asset freezes. Media trials. The fund thrived, but I sold the McMansion, too haunted by echoes. New apartment in Hilltop. View of the Sound. Simple life, coffee shop job, night classes in law. Reagan Hargrove. Future DA, Professors joked. Maybe. Twist final. Rocco delivered the package. Evelyn's letter from prison. Postmarked weeks before her suicide. Wait.
Suicide?
News had buried it. Hargrove widow takes life in cell.
Heart attack.
Official. But the letter. Dearest Reagan. The truth reversed isn't what you think. Victor didn't puppet me. I chose the breaks. For you to inherit clean. After I framed him for embezzlement. He beat you because I told him to. Tough in the air. The swap? I planted the locket. Knew the storm would trigger it. Proved you strong. Forgive?
No.
But live fierce. Mom. Reversal. She was the mastermind, sacrificing all for a twisted legacy. Victor innocent of the kill. Manslaughter plea stuck. But motive hers. Debatable end. Burn the letter. Or expose. I burned it. Ashes in the wind over the bay.
Now.
At 24. I walk Tacoma streets. Locket gone, but its weight eternal.
Happy?
Empire fallen. Justice jagged. Tragic? Monster's blood in my veins. You argue it, I proved them wrong. But at soul's cost.